Today I'm going to give my opinion as to who deserves the Grammy for Best Metal Performance. The nominees are Emergence by Sleep Token, Night Terror by Dream Theater, Lachryma by Ghost, Soft Spine by Spiritbox, and Birds by Turnstile. We're going to look at each song musically in some detail, and that will help me decide who I think the ultimate winner should be. Before we continue, you can find the full uncut version of this video on Patreon as usual. Please like and subscribe, and let's get right into the first song, Sleep Token's Emergence. This is one that I am familiar with, but let's refresh our memory.
Well, you were late in bus.
Immediately, you can feel the emotion in the vocal performance. There's beautiful sound design in the synths, and the writing of the vocal melody is really strong, and it's strong throughout the entire track. This song also develops beautifully. We have some really beautiful tension in this transitional section. And then this sort of hip-hop inspired section is a really nice contrast to where we just were. And that's kind of what this song is all about. A lot of contrast between sections, but very smooth transitions. This is what I mean by development. This is the same transitional section we had earlier, but we have the additional percussion for added musical interest. Once again, another development. This is the hip-hop verse from before, but with the addition of the heavy drums and the down-tuned guitars. A much fuller sound. The piece is becoming more intense as it goes on. And this is the melody from the very beginning, but instead of ethereal synths alone, now it's paired with the full band, the chords and the guitar, again the heavy drums. So this song develops really nicely the whole way through. It doesn't feel repetitive at all. It feels like it's constantly shifting. True to the word, the title itself, Emergence, okay? And here we have just a really nice breakdown section, always welcome. And then for the final outro, we have an unexpected sax solo. Just a really nice, tasteful finish to take everything down. So I do think that this song is a strong contender to win the Grammy. If I were to be a little bit more critical about it, this song is perhaps overly reliant on certain tropes. This sort of electronic sounding, pitched down deep voice repeating a hook is a bit of a trendy relic from, I'd say, 5 years ago in mainstream pop music. So something like this is going to date this song quite heavily. Another example is something like this. That whole whoop, again, bit of a cliched mainstream trap trope that was popular distinctly in, I'd say, the late 2010s. It's like a sort of goofy trend of the time that makes the song more unserious than it naturally wants to be. But I wouldn't say these, frankly annoying trends that are scattered throughout the song bring it down too much. I still think it's a front runner to win the Grammy. Both in my opinion and realistically speaking, this particular song would not surprise me at all if it won in real life. Let's move on to the next song now, which is Dream Theater's Night Terror. Another song I'm already familiar with. Let's see what this one offers. Yeah, so the song begins with a riff that is quite fun, quite frantic, solid drumming from Mike Portnoy. Nothing insanely technical or complex as Dream Theater typically is. That's something I quite liked about the way it starts. It starts in a way that is quite promising to me, but then we get to the verse. This verse melody that James is singing, bum 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 bum. What annoys me about this is they've reused that melody so many times throughout so many different songs in their discography over the last decade or so. And I have a good mind to make a compilation of this melody reoccurring in their verses. While I can commend James's emotion, the passion he puts into the vocal, the actual vocal writing on this song, and indeed on this whole album, in my opinion, is quite poor. Once again, it's like it's reused ideas. This is a riff from their song. I think it's called Sleeping Giant. It's another strange example of material being recycled. Now, you could say that this song, in my personal ranking at least, is at somewhat of a disadvantage because I'm probably more familiar with Dream Theater's earlier stuff. So if there is some recycling going on in some of the other tracks in this video, I might not catch it since I don't know those bands as well, okay? But I'd still say that even if I weren't familiar with Dream Theater's previous work, the vocal writing and overall structure of the song would still come across to me as uninspired. Because I do feel this song is also very long-winded, it doesn't earn its runtime, it has issues with keeping momentum, certain parts drag, and there's also this melodic solo that is just kind of shoehorned in there and doesn't fit the mood of the rest of the song at all. Now, I'm really tearing the song apart, but what I do like about this song is certain individual moments, such as this. Like, that's sick. I can't deny that. That part sounds cool. It's a shame that this energy wasn't capitalized on. This is another awesome riff. So this stretch is pretty damn good. But overall, frankly, this song is rather boring. It is so underwhelming to me. And if we're directly comparing it with Emergence by Sleep Token, which is what this ranking is all about, it's so obvious that Emergence makes a more sincere effort to connect to the listener emotionally. And that is not to say that Dream Theater cannot be emotional. They certainly can be, but Night Terror is lacking that connection to the human soul completely. And lyrically, I also find that to be the case. With Night Terror, you have some sort of generic, low-effort lyric writing. And with Sleep Token, you have a more creative, poetic, imagery-based and lore-based concept in the writing. So between these two songs, Emergence is way more deserving of the Grammy. And Dream Theater already have a Grammy, they don't need another one. Okay, let's move on to the first song that I have not heard yet, Lachryma by Ghost. Let's see what we have here. Okay, I'm rather impressed by that song, and initially it seems that it's going to be a tough call between this one and Emergence. The song starts off with a somewhat traditional heavy metal style. Well, except for those sort of dark wave synths, they were a really lovely touch. So I wasn't really gripped yet at this point, you know, serviceable heavy metal, but this pre-chorus is pretty cool. That little falsetto moment with the strange chord shift really caught my ear. It creates a really nice bit of tension before we get into the chorus, which is a great chorus. It's just that classic glam rock or hair metal chorus that is huge. It feels epic. It's nostalgic. It is emotional. I like his vocal performance on it. I like the general sound design. It's a good contrast to the verses as well. The verses feel a little heavier. The chorus is a little bit more melodic. Similar styling to Emergence in that way. The instrumental section is lovely too. Two guitars harmonizing, and then there's a key change into the solo. So I think this song maintains its power through the use of key changes throughout the track. And there is a final key change in the last chorus. I also love this little moment here with the harmonies. So I find this to be a really well-made, catchy song, beautifully performed and mixed. This one is also a strong contender, and it's a really tough call between Emergence and Lachryma at the moment. I don't think I'm able to decide right now. I think I'll need to look at the next song to have some perspective on it. The lyrics for this one are fine. There's some interesting lines like ripping through every poem like a vampire should. Kind of conjures up a story in your mind, and I like that. Let's move on to the next contender. This is Soft Spine by Spiritbox. Ooh, okay. I'm sort of torn about this one. I really liked it. I did. Let's start from the beginning. What I love about this riff is that it's actually rather poppy. They really care about the listener's experience in this song. It's not all noise and dissonance. There's heavy dissonance in those guitars, but that little bump, 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 that's a really approachable, accessible groove that you can just settle into and really enjoy. And I like how cohesive the song is because that groove is implemented pretty much throughout. Nice development in the riff in this verse, becoming a little bit more melodic, still dissonant, but there's a melody to the riff now, and Courtney's vocals, very rhythmically focused. It's a really groovy song. I also love how the groove is really given life by her dancing in this video. And okay, her dancing isn't in the song necessarily. The Grammys are all about the music, but just look at how she's embodying the music here. Just awesome. Star quality. Later in the song, we do get an even more melodic texture in the guitars in this moment here. You hear that very, very faint melody. We didn't have that previously in the song. So this song does develop nicely in subtle ways. And her vocals, so brutal, so aggressive, so pleasing to the ears, in fact. She's a vocalist that I really could listen to scream all day. And the argument could be made that breakdowns like this are a dime a dozen. But to my ears, there is some interest in this breakdown. I find that ascending crawl up, it gets under your skin. It's not pure chugging. There is some thought put into it. So one criticism for this song that I could see would be that it is rather safe. For all its noise and dissonance, it doesn't actually go into extremely experimental territory. It has the veneer of experimentation through its dissonance, but it's still relying on the mainstream metal tropes, the polished production, the breakdowns, right? But the reason I don't find that criticism to be too valid is because of all the subtleties in the arrangement. And there is a very deliberate increase in emotional quality through the harmonic choices. I do think that the second verse could have done with something extra, because we got this nice little fill here. And once I heard this, I was like, wow, the song is really going somewhere interesting. But then it kind of kicked back into the verse. So that's the only part of the song that felt a little underwhelming. But otherwise, this is another really strong contender. It's offering something quite different to the other three songs that we've heard so far. Would it be the one that I personally would choose to listen to out of the rest of the songs? I'm not sure about that, but when I'm thinking about it objectively as I can, as a subjective person, I can't ignore the detail and the subtleties of this song. I think it makes it a really special candidate. Again, I need to think about it. So let's move on to the final song. This is a song called Birds by Turnstile, who I've never listened to ever. Wikipedia says they're an American rock band, but they're up for the Metal Grammy with this song, so we'll see. Alright, so having heard that, I'm certainly intrigued. I can understand them being referred to as a rock band. I would call this more punk-focused myself than metal. But am I surprised that the Grammys lumped this song in with the metal nominees? Not at all. That's just something that they do. It's hard to judge this song in relation to the others, since I honestly feel that this one is the outlier stylistically. It's a sound that would work really well live. As a standalone piece, it feels somewhat incomplete to me and a little disjointed. So we start off with this really cool intro. Really interesting, experimental, and I love that little I don't know what instrument that is. Someone tell me. A really fascinating sound that really tickles your brain. Then we power into this. Like, this is some really great energy and a really good vocal performance too. I just feel that this song really just doesn't offer a whole lot except for a lot of energy and energy. And that's why I keep harping on about the live thing. I really feel like this band is not a studio band. I do like the da 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 da. It adds a layer of catchiness to this song. So it's not pure energy. There is playing around with rhythm and stuff, but it's probably the most one-dimensional song out of the lot. We do move into this next section here. That ascending synth sound. I don't like that. I feel like it undermines the rawness. There could be some other way that they could have produced that felt more true to the down and dirty essence. But that building synth, as far as I can see, it is a little over the top, and it doesn't help this drop have impact. And there's certain other supplementary sound effects that I guess are supposed to add some kind of weight to it, but it actually has the opposite effect. It is rather distracting from the quality of the instruments. So for a song that is actually going for something quite raw, this unrelenting, ferocious energy, it is a tad overproduced. Finally, I can see it. These birds not meant to fly away. But on the plus side, the vocal melody goes hard, and the vocalist's performance slaps. Sort of a Beastie Boys delivery, almost. That's a nice, unexpected layer in this song. And like, the riffs are good, but they do sound very traditional to me, and I wish there were more interesting things going on musically here that I could cling to bump this song up in the ranking. And just in general, I struggle with tracks that are this short and move from one idea to the next with no clear intentional connection apart from the satisfaction of the transition between each. Like, that's all well and good. It just doesn't make it seem timeless or memorable. The lyrics at least seem pretty cool. While I don't really understand what the song is getting at exactly, they are making some poetic connection between love and death and how freedom can be found in both. That reminds me, I forgot to comment on Spiritbox's lyrics. These lyrics, fitting with the song, seem rather angry. You all deserve each other, the lyrics say. Could be directed at haters or something of the sort. So with that, I feel like I have a good solid picture of what's on offer here. And now the question is, which of these songs do I think deserves the Grammy? I'm not going to lie, it's actually a really hard decision. I do feel that every song is pretty solid in its own right, but I feel the top contenders are Ghost, Spiritbox, and Sleep Token. So what I'm taking into account is composition, development, catchiness, the quality of the performances, the quality of the production, the melodic writing, lyrics too. And when I take all that into account, I'm torn between two songs. The two songs are Sleep Tokens and Spiritboxes. While Ghost's song was really good, it doesn't have the creative flair, the creative edge that the two remaining songs have. And it's really hard for me to choose between these final two songs. But if we're really aiming for musical excellence, I gotta hand it to Spiritbox. It is very rare for a song like that to appeal to me so much without any melodic lead vocals. I think it deserves the winning spot because of the taste level, the subtleties in the production and the arrangement and the melodic writing, the intentional rising and falling of the music, the awareness of crafting a whole atmosphere, and the cohesiveness of that nasty groove really makes me want to re-listen and rediscover that song even more. Sleep Token is a really, really close second though. The reason I'm not choosing Sleep Token is because it is that kind of tropiness to it that I can't get behind. And while each section is really beautiful, maybe the song is a little long-winded. I don't know if I could really listen to Emergence hundreds of times, whereas Soft Spine, its artistry is layered There's more to peel off. There's more to discover. It is the most artistic song of the lot, and therefore it has the most artistic merit and deserving of recognition awards. So it should get the Grammy. And of course, Courtney's vocals are super sick. Mind-blowing, really, how she can do that with her voice. I would also like to offer a final ranking of the 5 songs in question, and here it is. I already explained why I think Spiritbox should be chosen over Sleep Token. Ghost was a really close third, just didn't have the personality that the leading 2 songs had. Dream Theater, Night Terror, I had some harsh words to say about this song, but I can't with good conscience put it behind Birds by Turnstile. Birds is not a bad song by any means, and it's solid for what it is, which is a rather thrown together idea. Certainly has a lot of energy, a lot of ferocity, but it just didn't really come together for me. So while I find Night Terror to be a little boring, it at least brings me from A to B in a way that makes sense, and Birds just seems like a rather rough idea. I'm quite confident that if I listen to more Turnstile, their approach to music will make more sense to me. Let me know what you think of this ranking, what you think of my chosen winner, what you thought of my analysis. If you don't know me, my name is Ohak Cade. I'm the composer for the symphonic metal project Valcata. We recently put out a new song called Overload the Reactor. The link is also down below. I'd love to hear what you think. The extended version of this video is on Patreon if you'd like to watch my reactions to some of these songs. Patrons also get reaction requests, early access, and polls. And if I've done content on any of these artists before, you can find the reactions playlists for those artists below too. And there is also a link to my reaction database spreadsheet if you're curious about all of the other music I've covered on the channel. Otherwise, please like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Thanks so much and take care.